going to be a tutorial and review slash first impressions. I'm using the new LORAC Nude Necessities palette to do this entire look today, and I am also trying out one of their newer blushes from the Color Source range, so I will show you that and give you my thoughts on that. So I'm going to insert the tutorial, and then towards the end of the video I will give you my thoughts and my review on this palette, sort of compare it to other LORAC palettes as well, and give you my official thoughts whether this is a go or a no-go. So if you want to see how to get this look, then keep watching. Start this look off, I'm going to be taking this beige color. It is matte, and I'm going to be applying this all over the lid, all the way up to the brow bone. This is just going to be a base prior to applying any of the other shadows in the palette. I feel like it helps with blending. Next, I'm taking a fluffy crease brush and this light taupe shade. This is also matte, and I'm going to start defining my crease. And I will be here for a good minute blending and applying, because this color isn't as pigmented as I hoped it would be, so I have to build it up to create the intensity that I will get towards the end or the final look. So unfortunately this one you do have to build up, but it is a matte tan shade, or like a taupey tan color that sort of gives a bit of definition to the crease. And then here I'm taking a clean fluffy brush, and I'm going to just go around the edges of that before moving on to the next step, which again is more of a taupey shade, again more tans. Then going into the crease with that same brush, I just wiped it off really well. And this is going to just, again, intensify that crease, but it's going to still be very soft because overall the look is very natural. And I'm going to be switching to a different brush, and I'm going to start packing the same color and start trying to build this up a bit because it is very sheer in as far as the tone of the color. Then I'm going to go in with this taupe shade. This one has a bit of a sheen to it. With the same brush, I believe this is the Sigma E25, and again just sort of layering it in the crease just to get again more definition going on and to make it a little bit more dark in that area, just because the two colors that I used previously are very light. Next, I'm going to take the darkest color in the palette with a pencil brush. I'm going to start defining the lower lash line, and I definitely applied a lot here, so as you can see, it's very natural, and it does take a lot of building up. Then I went into this warm tan color. This is more of like a satiny finish, and I went over the darkest color that I had already applied, just to kind of make it a little bit more warm, add a little extra something there. And then I'm going to go into both of the colors again to define my upper crease and start making it a more defined look with that, and just creating more shadow and some more dimension. And then I'm going to go in with a Sonia Kashuk brush and the lightest color, which is a satiny white color. It's very pigmented when you use the brush that I'm using. I'm taking that for the brow bone and into the inner corner as my highlight. Then I'm going to go in with this champagne pink with the same Sonia Kashuk brush, and this is going to go into the inner lid part just to kind of add some glowiness. This is pigmented. If you foil it, it's much more intense. But I'm just going to be applying that to the beginning half of my lid, and then taking this rose gold color with the same brush and applying that to the outer half of the lid. And then I'm going to use the same rose gold with the Smashbox Primer Water just to kind of spotlight the lid and just intensify that finish. It's very metallic, but when you foil it, it's much more intense and it has more of a pop, which I felt like was needed for a look like this. It was very sort of kind of flat almost. And then here I'm just sort of taking the brush and blending over where the pink champagne and that rose gold meet, so that there isn't a harsh line, and it's just a nice gradual fade. Next, it's time for some tight line. I'm taking this black eyeliner from Ardency, and it's the Modster in black, and I'm just tight lining my upper waterline. Then I'm taking a black eyeshadow on an angled brush from Morphe just to kind of define my lash line. There isn't anything very dark in this palette, so unfortunately this palette couldn't do that for me, so I just brought in any old brand. And then here I am finishing the look off with the two mascaras. Alright, time for some blush. Now, I wanted to do the first impression as well on the blush in this video because this is one of their newer blushes. It's part of the Color Source Buildable Blush line that recently came out. I'm not exactly sure when these were released in stores, but I got this at my local Ulta store the day that I bought the palette. The color that I picked was Tinge. I wanted to pick something that was very wearable every day. It looks like nothing. I'm hoping that it shows up on my skin because when I swatched it on my hand, it seemed very pretty and I felt like I could build this up. So I do believe it's a buildable, as they say, or as the claims are. They had tons of different shades, you guys. The range is really beautiful. They're all matte, which I can appreciate because I like matte blushes. If you don't particularly like matte blushes, you can always just dust a little bit of highlight right over it just to give yourself a glow on the cheeks. But this color is very pigmented. It's very creamy, or the formula I should say is. So this is very light, and I'm going to use the Mikasa Beauty F111. I do have an affiliate link or code. If you use Alexandria in all caps 15, it's going to save you 15% off on your purchase. So anyways, back to the blush. I'm going to take a little bit of that. They seem really pigmented. It does kick up quite a bit of powder. So I'm just going to apply it. And it does look like nothing, but at the same time, I feel like blushes like this gives you a glow that just looks like your skin. Not like glow as in luminous and dewy, just like a natural flush that almost looks like it's your real skin that's doing that. So that's what I like. And I feel like no matter how much I put on, I mean, I'm picking up quite a bit and I'm not even dusting off my brush as I normally would. I feel like I'm definitely able to layer this up and it looks really soft. That definitely does show up on my skin. There is some other shades that are much more intense, so if you do choose one of those, you don't want to apply as much, but this is very light. So I'm going to take a Mikasa F200 dual fiber brush and just kind of soften this out. For highlight, I wanted to use one of the colors in the palette. I think I'm going for this light color here. I'm going to use the Morphe M501 to apply that. I'm dusting off the excess. It's got a pretty glow to it. It's really nice. One of the shades that I enjoy, and it's the shade that I use on the inner half of my lid today, or in the tutorial. It's very pretty. And if you wanted like this range of blushes to have a bit of a sheen, you can just take a little bit of this or a color like that and just lightly kind of dust it. I would do some like dual fiber brush to kind of stamp on a little bit of a glow above or on top of the highlight if that's what you're wanting. As you can see, that is quite intense, which I like. Okay, now for lipstick, I wanted to do something a little bit more bold. Not super out of my comfort zone, but something a little bit much more noticeable than just a classic nude. So I'm going to use the High Voltage lipstick by NYX in the shade Flutter Kiss, and I will swatch it for you. Looks like this. It's kind of like a deeper nude color, but it's got a subtle kind of mauve-y tone to it. It's really pretty. And I like this formula. Can't talk. I like this formula because it is very pigmented, creamy, and it has a glossy finish, which I like. Alright, and there you have it. That is the completed look. I think that you could do any lip that you wanted to with this. You could do a red lip. You could do something much more bold like this. Anything really, because I mean this is very sort of light. Now as far as my thoughts on this palette, I do have to say that there's good and bad from it. I think that the bottom row, I have it upside down so I don't blind you with the mirror, but this row right here is the actual third row. So if I do it like this, this bottom row right here I think is the best pigment that you're going to get out of this palette. Here's the box, so you guys can see what it looks like when you go to your local Ulta or online. And just sort of skimming through this, it says create soft, delicate, and wearable combinations with shimmering highlighters, matte bases, and transitional shadows in color-coordinated rows of warm, cool, and neutral shades. I do think that they have a nice mix of sort of cool-toned colors, some warm tones, and a few neutral shades. I don't think that this palette is the quality of what I've come to expect from LORAC. This bottom row, the third row, I would say it is because it's pigmented and it does show up. But I had to build up a lot of these colors a lot for this look. Even when I was doing the swatches for the blog, which I will link down below, I had to really build it up in order for it to show up on camera. And I just don't think that this is really up to that standard that LORAC has set, or the bar that they've set for themselves. I think that if you are looking for a palette for every day, if you like looks like this, very natural, very soft palettes, then this is going to be something that you like. If you like really intense smoky looks or just having a lot of pigmented colors on the eye, whether they're earth tones or colorful looks, then I don't think that you're going to get a lot of use out of this, because you definitely have to build it up. You have to layer and layer and layer for this to show up. So I would say skip it if you don't need colors like this or don't like nude colors, like tones like this. But if you want a LORAC palette and you are trying to figure out which palette to get, because they have a few, this is $30, the Nude Necessities, and the original Pro palette is $42. So $12 more, you can get much more pigmentation. This is just outstanding quality. This is the reason why I fell in love with LORAC shadows to begin with. They do have a Pro 2, which is different tones of colors. So I would say if you needed to have colors, some neutral colors and a few pops, go with this one. If you wanted to get your first LORAC palette, I would say the LORAC Pro 1 or 2. Even the Mega Pros are much better than this palette. So unfortunately, this is not as good as I thought it was going to be. And it's disappointing because LORAC is one of my favorite brands for eyeshadows. So it's very hard for me to sit here and tell you this, because it's kind of sad for me, because I love them and I was thrilled when I saw this. I was like, done. Because I just knew or felt like it was going to be good, and then it just ended up not being so good. Now the blush, I do like it. I'm going to use it a little bit more. I hope that it does last throughout the day, as some other brands and as some of the other LORAC blushes that I've tried in the past. So I would definitely report back on that blush. So that wraps up this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know it was a little bit longer than usual, but I wanted to just do a tutorial and sort of give you my initial thoughts, review, all wrapped in one. And I hope that you guys liked it. Let me know what you think about this palette, if you are going to get it or skip on it. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't. Please also follow me on Instagram and Twitter. It's at glamourbylexi. I do have Snapchat. That's down in the description box, my username for that as well. Thank you for spending some time with me today. I hope you guys have a fabulous day, and I will see you very soon. Bye-bye.